causing a massive crash, as the putting themselves and others in danger. In this video, we're going to talk about a motorcyclist who filmed his own crash with a car. Now, before we dive into the video footage, I want to say that this is not meant to glorify or encourage reckless driving. The motorcyclist was filming his ride on an empty road, enjoying the freedom and adrenaline that comes with riding a motorcycle. As he turned around to head back, he noticed another motorcycle in the distance and slowed down. However, just as he was getting back up to speed, a car suddenly appeared out of nowhere and slammed into the motorcycle, causing a massive crash. The impact was so severe that the motorcyclist was thrown off his bike. The video footage is shocking, and it's a stark reminder of the dangers that come with riding a motorcycle. It's essential to always be aware of your surroundings and be prepared for the unexpected. We're going to talk about a recent incident that happened on the highway involving a motorcycle and some cars. Instead of moving over to the left lane to give some space to the cars, the motorcyclist reacted with anger and gave the other drivers the middle finger. Seconds later, the motorcyclist lost control and crashed. Let us learn from this and drive responsibly, keep our emotions in check, and be considerate of others on the road. You'll see a motorcycle rider speeding through the city of Chicago. Despite the busy streets and intersections, the rider is weaving in and out of traffic at high speeds, putting themselves and others in danger. As the rider approaches an intersection, a car is making a turn and can't react in time to avoid a collision. The motorcycle crashes into the car, and the rider is thrown off their bike. Fortunately, the rider quickly stands up and runs to the pavement where a police officer arrives. But the outcome could have been much worse. This kind of reckless behavior not only endangers the rider, but also innocent drivers, passengers, and pedestrians who share the road. We all love the thrill of riding a motorcycle, but it's essential to remember that we share the road with others. In today's video, I'm going to show you what happened when a motorcyclist in a Santa Claus outfit witnessed a hit-and-run incident and pursued the criminal. Let's see what happened next. As the motorcyclist was riding through the streets, he saw a Renault Clio hit a pedestrian who was trying to cross the road. The Clio quickly fled the scene, and the motorcyclist knew he had to act fast. He pursued the Clio and tried to stop it. The driver stopped for a moment, but then quickly drove away when the motorcyclist stepped off his motorcycle.
C'est bon. Désolé le feu rouge, désolé.
The motorcyclist continued to follow the Clio, and it got stuck in traffic for a few seconds. He tried to stop it again by slapping and kicking it, but unfortunately, he was not successful. The driver was determined to escape, and the motorcyclist knew he had to keep following him. Eventually, the Clio stopped again, and the driver tricked the motorcyclist into stepping off his motorcycle once again before quickly driving away. But the motorcyclist wasn't going to give up that easily. He continued to follow the Clio until he finally saw some cops on the street. He quickly told them about the Renault Clio, and they were able to catch the driver. Well, they thought they caught the driver, but it was a different car. The police and the motorcyclist quickly continued their pursuit. At last, they found the woman who hit the pedestrian. The police cuffed her and took her to the station. It was a crazy experience, and it's amazing to see how the motorcyclist was able to help catch the criminal. It's important to always stand up for what's right and never let criminals get away with their actions. We're going to be discussing a hit-and-run incident that was caught on camera by a motorcyclist. The incident involves a black Mercedes that hit a car and then fled the scene. Let's dive into the details. The video begins with the motorcyclist riding on the road when a black Mercedes drives past him and scrapes the first car. The motorcyclist quickly realizes what has happened and decides to follow the Mercedes. As the Mercedes continues down the road, it hits a standing car before colliding with a Prius in front of it. The collision causes significant damage to all three vehicles. The motorcyclist then pulls over and steps off his bike to see if everyone is okay. He walks over to the car and checks on the passengers, making sure they are not hurt. A police officer arrives on the scene and starts assessing the damage to the vehicles. The officer notices the black Mercedes and stares at it, but doesn't take any action to stop the driver. As the officer looks on, the Mercedes suddenly drives away, leaving the scene of the accident. This is a classic hit-and-run scenario, and the driver could face serious consequences for leaving the scene of an accident. Remember, it's essential always to stay safe while driving and never leave the scene of an accident. The motorcyclist kept following the car, and eventually, he found himself on the highway. He saw some police officers and tried to flag them down, but they didn't listen. Frustrated, the motorcyclist continued to follow the car until they ended up in a neighborhood. That's when things got really intense. The man in the Mercedes appeared to be under the influence of something and was very aggressive.
Eastbound. Yeah, he's actually trying to talk to me, but I'm keeping my distance. Looks like he's under the influence. Black male, around looks like 5'6".
The motorcyclist kept his distance, but the man continued to approach him. Finally, the police arrived and took the man into custody.
Hit and run driver in San Bernardino next to Walmart. I followed him all the way here. He took off at the scene of the accident. I have it on video.
Man, I was wrong. That's all I can say. I can't say no more. They can say what they want to say, but I was wrong and I should have pulled up. And I just panicked. I was wrong. You have your license? Yes, I do, sir. But I